Have you ever been in this situation before? You're maybe 2 points into a game and you quickly realize that for the next 2 or 2.5 hours, you're probably going to be the weakest link on the court. As time goes on, you begin to realize, oh wow, I'm actually the worst player here. And not only am I the worst player here, but I'm worse by a lot. And then after the match is over, you realize you didn't win a single game. You feel embarrassed, almost even humiliated, and maybe even disheartened. We have all experienced this in one way or another. I certainly have, and today I want to give you some advice on what to do about this and how to improve from it. I know it can be tough. I have experienced this many times. I've been playing for 7 years, been teaching for 5, so I want to give you some advice on what to do. Hey guys, my name is Barry Kinchelow. I've been playing for quite a while now, and I know exactly how it feels when it comes to being the weakest link on the court. It is not a fun thing, but there are some things that you can do to get past this. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a really high power tip that you can take out to the courts tonight to start with. So let's start with the things that you just need to stop doing right off the bat. I know it can feel bad in the moment, but if you're doing any kind of like victim blamey stuff, you're blaming your partner, you're blaming your paddle especially, or blaming the ball, that stuff just needs to stop. I've done that before, and I know it can be normal, but that's the kind of stuff that just needs to stop right off the bat. The other thing that needs to stop is to try not to think too much about what other people are thinking. It is very likely that when we have thoughts of like, oh man, he probably thinks I'm terrible, or like, he probably doesn't believe that I've been playing for 5 years or whatever, they're probably not thinking anything at all. I know it can be tempting to assume that, so-and-so player probably thinks I'm terrible, but they're probably not thinking about you at all. And in fact, they're probably thinking about their own problems. And sometimes when people go out to play pickleball, they're probably thinking about something else too. You know what I mean? Everyone's got their issues, everyone's got their problems, and it's very likely that even though you may think that they're thinking about your bad play tonight, they're probably not. Those are some things that you can do right off the bat to just go ahead and plug that faucet to keep this from spiraling out of control. Now, what can you do about it? Luckily, there is a lot that you can do about it. And once you are ready, you can begin to take a couple of steps. You need an action plan of some kind. The first thing that you need to do is you need to be really honest about how often you actually play. How often do you actually play? Sometimes we'll say, 2 to 3 times a week. But then when we look at our calendar or we kind of look back, we think, oh, actually, I'm only playing once a week. There is no substitute for just raw experience on that court. Some of the best and most consistent players that I know personally play probably 4 to 5 times a week, sometimes every day. Now, personally, I can't handle that, and you may not be able to either, but you need to be honest about how often you actually play, and especially how often you actually drill and practice. Once you get to that point, it's important to start taking stock in terms of just kind of where you are. Where are you in terms of your improvement? Are you learning new shots? Are you trying to learn new strategies? Where are you currently? And most importantly, have you recorded a game in a while? I've been hounding on this for a long time, but one of the best ways to learn is to record your games. That way you can go back and look and see, okay, wait a minute, I'm noticing a pattern here. And typically they are patterns. And this can give you a lot of relief, right? Because you're thinking to yourself on the court, I'm playing terrible, nothing is working. But in reality, when you go back and you watch the video, actually, it's just one thing or 2 things that are really getting you. And spoiler alert, it's probably footwork. So record your games. You're gonna have to face the truth eventually. I know it can be really awkward and sometimes a little bit humiliating watching you play on camera, but believe me, I've been doing it for a long time. It's not so bad when you get used to it. Now, the cool thing about this is that we get to analyze both our weaknesses and our strengths. Now, in this case, it's the weaknesses that are quite important. And that leads to the next step of the action plan. Once you have your weaknesses sort of written down, and I do highly recommend that you write them down, use the warm-up period before your next match to practice and to assimilate those weaknesses. This is super, super powerful because oftentimes that warm-up period before the match begins or before the session begins, oftentimes that's kind of a waste of time. Like most people just kind of randomly hit the ball. Some people do it very intentionally, right? But you need to start taking it intentionally. So when that next warm-up period comes up, once you sort of analyze your weaknesses and you realize, okay, I need to be doing this and this, use that warm-up period to practice those things before the match begins. That way you're hitting the ground running. The next thing that you can do is to not forget the fundamentals. This is especially the case if you're in that kind of 4-0-ish area. A lot of people in that area, they get so good to the point where they begin to really experiment with, advanced technique and advanced strategies and so on. But man, you got to go back to Old Faithful. It could be that you're forgetting the fundamental mechanics of the game, strategic stuff, going for earnings too much, trying to drive from midcourt too much, things like that. That kind of stuff is going to kill your game. So next time around, think to yourself, all right, you know what? I'm getting pretty good at this game. I'm getting pretty experienced, but I cannot forget those basics because they are going to be the underpinning of your entire game and your success for tonight. Another very powerful thing you can do is to have someone to talk to. Now, preferably it'll be another pickleball player, but if it's not, it's probably not a big deal, but definitely very useful if it is a pickleball player. The reason why this is so helpful is because it just gets this stuff out of your head, man. I mean, it's rough having these thoughts and stuff circle around in your head all day. Sometimes just getting it out can make you feel a lot better. And when you feel better, you're more likely to take action. To be totally frank here, I have a friend that lives in my area. His name's Charlie. He runs an aviation YouTube channel called Airplane Academy. If you're interested in aviation, you got to go check that out. He does YouTube like I do. And we've become really, really good friends over the past couple of years, and I can just talk to him about it. Instead of having these things in my head like, man, that video was terrible. Like, I don't know what is going on, blah, blah, blah. I can just text him and be like, dude, does this ever happen to you? Or like, do you ever feel like this when it comes to yada, yada, yada? And when you get it out, oftentimes the other guy's just going to say, yeah, dude, like for sure. And here's what I did. And it makes things so much easier, so much easier. When you can just get this stuff out and talk to another person about it. It allows you to just kind of get it over with and get it off your chest. And it makes you more likely to take a little bit of action. Especially if you have a friend who's encouraging. Like with my friend Charlie, sometimes we'll even FaceTime or we'll have a Zoom call and he'll say like, I'll present a problem and he'll say, yeah, like I get that. Here's what you can do. And it's likely that the other player has experienced exactly what you're experiencing. I've been in that situation many times where I think to myself, I shouldn't even be instructing pickleball. Like that's how bad it's gotten for me sometimes, where I'll say to myself, like it shows pro pickleball teacher on the internet everywhere. I get like, tens of thousands of shares every year on my YouTube channel. And I think to myself, should I really be doing this? Should I really be doing YouTube and teaching people how to play pickleball when I'm playing this badly? It's terrible. But when you tell someone about it and you talk to a friend about it, you realize, oh wait, I'm not the only one. Maybe I shouldn't be feeling like this. And when you do, that is when you put your action plan into place. So here's what you can try. Take stock, get video, take that video, look at it, find your weaknesses, and then begin to pick out just one or two of those things to start improving on. Do a search on my YouTube channel and other YouTube channels. Don't just watch me, watch everyone else too. There's a lot of us out there now. And try to search for those specific issues and try to improve on them. When you begin to have success with the things that you have failed at in the past, it will give you a massive, enormous confidence boost. Nothing feels better. Nothing feels better. In fact, this happened to me. Like, oh my gosh, I think it's like probably 5 years ago now. I put out a video, it said top 10 beginner mistakes or something like that. And I got roasted in the comments for this video. This was back when it was like me, Primetime Pickleball with Nicole and Jordan, and like I think Mark Renison and maybe CJ Johnson was on there by then. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And I got absolutely roasted for making this video because I wasn't showing any footage. It was just me behind this white wall and I was just talking into the camera, kind of like what I'm doing now. But it was the type of video where I should have showed technique and strategy and showed the motions, right? Well, I got roasted for it. Instead of just kind of complaining and being like, typical YouTube comments, blah, 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 I instead thought, you know what? They're right. They're right. I should have shown footage. I'm going to remake the video, and now that video is my top performing video of all time. It's got like 1.3 million views, something like that. So try those things out. Now, I want to give you a little tip that you can take to the courts tonight. So grab your paddle, and you can do this right now if you'd like to. And when it comes to hard shots, bangers, blocking hard shots, things like that, just try something. During your warm-up, do this. Hold your paddle like you typically do, but let go with your pinky, your ring, and your middle finger. And just hold the paddle with your index finger and your thumb, and just dink like that. That is what soft hands is going to feel like. If you can, throughout that first game, try to hit the ball like that, but do not leave your fingers off. Don't leave your fingers off. Put your fingers back on just a little bit, but make sure most of the pressure is still in your index and your thumb. That is just a quick tip that you can use tonight in rec play that should help out. Guys, I hope that was helpful. I know it can be uncomfortable, and like I said, I've felt the same thing, and it's horrible, but you can get past it. You absolutely can. You just need to believe in yourself a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that was helpful. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or thoughts or anything like that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.